What is the main value the Tallinn Digital Summit creates?
Yeah, so the Tallinn Digital Summit is, I think, unique in that it is truly a gathering of like-minded countries from across the world. I mean, the basic premise is that we have the world's open democratic societies talking together about how we do well in this era of digital disruption. And I think it's especially important this year where we're meeting back-to-back with the Open Government Partnership. So really, it's a week of democracy saying, look, we know the technology is challenging, and we know all the ways in which everyone's talking about how, whether it's AI or filter bubbles, cyber attacks are all disadvantaging free, open, democratic societies. And actually, no, we can win this, and we can use these technologies to advance those very same values. And what the Tallinn Digital Summit does, it brings together like-minded to strategize and to then sort of go back forth into the world and carry those ideas back home and into our daily engagement.
What is your main takeaway from the summit?
Yeah, so I think my big takeaway is that that we have to do this together and globally, which is to say there are a lot of boundaries in the way to having, yes, we work together a lot in Europe, but to having that same kind of collaboration across the Atlantic, across the Pacific, North and South, and that basically if we put together in a room all the countries that have the same fundamental approach to democracy, to their sort of how their societies are run, to openness and transparency, we're a majority. And so there's really value in numbers and there's value in doing these things globally. And I think my takeaway is we have to do that more. And sometimes it's the nitty-gritty, right? It's not just the big ideas, it's harmonizing procurement policies. It's being very specific in the regulations we harmonize. And that's something we've been working on for years, but we need to keep on doing.
What are the main opportunities you currently see for the EU in terms of its agenda on technology, digitization and democracy?
So digitization is a challenge for the way that Europe harmonizes and the way that Brussels regulates. And the reason it's a challenge is that in the physical world, the way the EU has worked is worked by bringing regulations more or less to the same level, to make the rules on food safety or on market regulations more or less the same across Europe. But in the digital world of bits and bytes, some things are identical or they're not. And so I think the challenge that we all have to figure out in Europe and the opportunity is where can we really decide that the regulatory center for doing things and the level of cooperation is Europe as a whole. And I think we've had a lot of successes in that space. We've seen that the progress we've made in the last few years in cybersecurity collaboration is really phenomenal. The investments that we've made in all sorts of scientific endeavors and infrastructure are very impressive. I think right now we're going to see in the next couple of years whether in digital services, digital markets, and in AI, the regulatory effect of Brussels has a positive or a negative effect. And the way it will have a positive effect, if it really creates a situation where you can, with a single regulatory regime, operate across Europe. And we'll fail if we fragment, right? We'll fail if the rules are similar, but there's still a different application in every country. And so I would say that's an opportunity, because if we do it right, not only are we as large as any other economy, but we're larger. I mean, many of these regulations are very fragmented in the US and even unclear in China. But if we don't figure it out, then we'll also be also-rans in this race. So I think it's going to be an interesting challenge in the next couple of years.